today's video is going to be my January favorites. It's going to be my first favorites video of the year. I cannot believe January is over already. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, so I'm filming literally right before I go to my boyfriend's house just to spend literally the rest of the day with him. What is going on with my earrings right now? They're like not even. Okay. Anyway, so let's get into the favorites. I have quite a few things to talk about. So let's just jump into it because I don't really want to waste any more time. I've already been home too long. I need to get going at some point. So let's start off with eyeshadows. Why not? Because you guys know eyeshadows are like my favorite thing ever. So why not just talk about them? So my first palette that I have to mention again, this has literally been my go-to palette the whole month of January and most of December too, because I didn't film a favorites video in December, obviously, or for December, because I did all of my best in beauty. So I basically told you guys all of my favorites for the whole year. But this was literally my go-to palette in January. It was like the only palette I used. I used it like 3 times a week. I took it with me both times that I went to Connecticut this past month, because I went to Connecticut in literally the day after New Year's, like New Year's Day, and I went just this past weekend, and this palette and 2 other palettes were the only palettes I took, but I mostly just used this palette every time I went, and it also was my go-to palette when I was back home. I was just using the crap out of it, and of course I'm talking about my Kathleen Lights So Jaded and ColourPop palette. I just love this palette, you guys. As you guys know from my video that I said as you guys know from the video where I counted down all of my favorite palettes of 2019, or all the palettes I bought in 2019, this was my #1 palette, and it still is my #1 palette. I just used the shit out of this past month, and I just freaking love it. So as you guys can see, I've been showing it so much love, and I just did a ton of looks with it this past month. The shade I actually used the most this time was Aquamarine, because I didn't really get too much use out of this shade when I first got the palette. So I used this quite a few times this past month, and it's such a beautiful lid shade. And I also used Fluorite a couple times. So I was really trying to just dip into the colors that I hadn't really used more. And I used almost all the shades again, and I just reached for it so much this past month. And every time I use it, I love my eyeshadow. It's just an amazing palette. I have such a huge dip in Pearl, because Pearl is my favorite inner corner shade in this palette. But I'm just going to swatch Aquamarine because it was definitely my most used shade this month, because I really started to get into more like bluish, minty kind of looks, because I got like this mint cardigan from Lucky, and I did haul it like a couple of weeks back. But it's such a pretty color. I don't know if you guys can really see how blue it is. It's a lot more blue on the eyes when you actually use it, and I love it. So I have just been loving this palette, and I just have used it for so many looks. I've been using it for neutral looks, for colorful looks. We went out one night, and I used Alexandrite and Amethyst on the lid, and the night that I came to surprise Liz, I used Aquamarine, and I've just been obsessed with this palette. So yeah, I don't really want to talk about it too long, but honestly, this has been my most used palette this past month. I was just reaching for it constantly, all the time. So I've been trying not to use it too much lately. I've actually been using a bunch of older palettes. So yeah, love that palette. Of course, I haven't mentioned this yet in a favorites video. I did mention it in my Best in Beauty, but I haven't actually really talked about it too much. I haven't even really filmed with it too much. I think I literally only filmed a first impressions on this, so I have to make it my my goal to use it again on camera. But I still really like this palette, and this is the Haus Laboratories The Fame Glam Room 1 palette. This is a really nice palette, actually. I did rank it kind of low in my Best in Beauty video, but it does have a really, really good formula. Um, as far as like a makeup collector goes, I don't think this palette is absolutely essential for you, like I've said before. But if you love Lady Gaga and if you love eyeshadow and if you really like wanted to get something worthwhile from her makeup line, I would suggest this. I think that the other products I wasn't really interested in, but this palette is really pretty. These mattes are actually amazing. The mattes in here are so creamy and buttery and easy to blend. And the lid shades are all really pretty. Some of them are a little bit dry and not as shimmery as some of the others. I actually really like the red a lot and the brown and this shade, like this pinky shimmery shade, but the other three are a little bit harder to apply. But the mattes are great. The black in here is amazing too. So this is a good palette. It's not my absolute favorite, but it's a good palette and I really need to use it more this coming month because I used it a ton when I first got it in December because it was my newest palette. But I have not purchased a palette since December. I was on a no-buy the entire month of January from palettes. As you guys could tell from my last haul video, I did not purchase one palette this past January because I was like, I really can't. I purchased way too many palettes last year, so I really wanted to make it my business to not get too many palettes this year. So this was my last palette that I got, and it's a good palette. So that is that guy. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, then the next palette I wanted to talk about, let's talk about more ColourPop, because again, I did use these palettes quite a bit this past month or two, and I'm talking about both of the ColourPop Disney Frozen 2 palettes. I actually really love the quality of both of these. I like the quality of these more than the other 9-pan palettes that I have from ColourPop. I think that these have a much smoother, less dry formula when it comes to the mattes. I do really like the shimmers in all of these palettes, like all of the 9-pans, but I definitely use these quite a bit. The Anna one is definitely my favorite one out of all the 9-pan palettes. This palette has a really beautiful formula. It's just a solid palette. It's so pretty. I've talked about this a ton on my channel already. And again, I really need to film with both of these palettes again. I actually have been wearing them quite a bit. I wore this palette a couple times this month. Not too much, but I wore it like 2 or 3 times. And the quality of these are really amazing. I love how buttery the mattes are and the lid shades are gorgeous. I actually just wore this yesterday or the day before that. I think it was 2 days ago. Yeah. And I just love how my eyeshadow turns out every time I use this. I think it's a really beautiful palette, so I love that one. And then the Frozen 2 palette, the Elsa Frozen 2 palette, I actually used quite a bit this month. I used it when I went down to to see Liz, because originally I was planning to take her to go see Frozen when I surprised her back in January, like right after New Year's, because like I tried to play it off with our friend down in Connecticut, that I like couldn't make it for New Year's, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be there. And then I surprised her the next day. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have the money, blah, blah, blah. And then I came down, and when she saw me, she was like, I thought you didn't have money. And I was like, well, I was lying. So, I mean, that's what you do when you want to surprise someone. You want to lie to them so they don't suspect anything. So I did use this that day, but then we ended up not seeing Frozen that day. We ended up playing games with her friends the whole night, and then we saw Frozen the next day. So I still used this palette to see the movie both times. I used this one. I didn't use the Anna palette. Oh my god, what did I just got eyeshadow on my sweater. Yeah, it's fine. It's really not going to do anything, but that was really stupid. Because I opened the palette. Alright, let's not open the Anna palette because that was literally really stupid. So, I'm just going to put it away. But I don't know why I was opening it just to show it to you guys, but, I didn't use the Anna palette when I went and saw the movie. Both times. I used the Elsa palette both times, so I did a look with this guy both times, and I also did use this a couple times. I used this, I did use it this past week to do a look with it, and I did use it back when I was in Connecticut, like the first time. I did bring it with me to use the second time, but I only ended up using this palette for like a couple mattes in here, and then I used the So Jaded palette like the whole rest of the time I was in Connecticut, like to do a neutral look and then a colorful look at night. But this one I didn't use when I brought it with me the second time. But these three palettes were the only palettes that I brought with me to Connecticut, and they're like perfect travel palettes to use with the So Jaded palette. These palettes are great to use in conjunction with that. And then the last ColourPop palette, I would be lying if I didn't say I didn't use this one either, but I used this quite a bit this past month, and that's the ColourPop Midnight Masquerade palette. You guys know I ranked this pretty high in my favorite palettes of 2019. The formula in this palette is beautiful. I love it. I did a look with Dolce this past month. I used the pressed glitter again. I think I even used Mama Odie once and Frog and Wife. They're just beautiful shimmers and beautiful mattes. I really don't have anything else to say about this palette. It's really beautiful quality. People were kind of knocking the color story, but then a lot of people, when they actually received the palette and used it, they were like, wow, this is a great palette. I'm like, yeah, the formula is bomb. I love it. So just wanted to give a little quick shout out to that guy. And then the last palette, again, that I used quite a bit this past month is my beloved Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. I ranked this one the highest besides the ColourPop So Jaded palette. I think I ranked this as my number 3 palette this past year. I absolutely adore this palette. It is an amazing neutral palette. I could have done a look with HBIC today, but I decided to use my Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette today, so I love it, and I haven't used it in a long time, so I was like, let me whip that out instead, because I've used this quite a bit this past month. I've used basically all of the lid shades again. It's beautiful. I love the formula. So buttery. Love the mattes. Love the shimmers. Again, I have full reviews on mostly all of these palettes that I'm talking about, but I have a full review on this guy. But I had to mention it again because I did just use it this past week. I used it last week, so I love it. So that is it for eyeshadows. Now let's talk about some face products. Let's just talk about mascaras and get them out of the way because I have quite a few mascaras to talk about. So the first like lash favorite I have is the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer. This really does help my lashes a crap ton. I cannot believe that I went this long without having a lash curler or a mascara primer because it really does change your lashes, and I feel like for the past week or two, ever since I've been using this, it really has been helping my lashes be fuller when I put on mascara, so I am going to repurchase this every time I run out of it because I really do need a lash primer if I don't use a lash curler because I don't really like lash curlers too much. I'm like, la. But I love this thing. And then I have 5 mascaras to talk about. I did buy a ton of drugstore mascaras lately. I did buy one high-end one recently. But I have been absolutely loving, this is definitely the one I've been loving the most. I have been loving the Fenty Beauty mascara. This is the Fenty Beauty Full Frontal Mascara. This is so nice. It really just grabs on to each individual lash and gives you really beautiful length and really beautiful volume. I really do like it. There's something about this one that I love the most out of all these mascaras. They just make your lashes look so sexy and like really grabs onto each individual lash. And even when I reapplied it yesterday, because I wanted to reapply more after work because I was going out again for my boyfriend's stepdad's 80th birthday, and I used this to recoat my lashes again, and it really did a great job. Like, it really wasn't too dried out again, because usually my lashes get so dried out after I reapply mascara again, like in the middle of the day. And this did a great job, so I love that one. And I also have been loving the CoverGirl, the Supersizer Fibers mascara. This is a great mascara too. It's almost a dupe for the Fenty Beauty one. This one is great as well. It gives me a ton of length, a ton of volume. I've always been wanting to try the Supersizer mascara, but for some reason it's so hard to find in the original black one. I think it's available at Walmart or Walgreens maybe. But you guys know I only really go to CVS or Target. So I picked this up at CVS. The CVS that I go to never has the original one, but at least they had this. And I had looked up reviews of both of these, and they both had literally the same reviews. They said it was just as good as the original Supersizer, and I love this. It's a great mascara. I love CoverGirl mascaras, and speaking of CoverGirl mascaras, I also have fallen back in love with the CoverGirl Exhibitionist mascara. This one is also beautiful. Not as volumizing as the other two, but I love this as like a work mascara. It's beautiful. I love it. And then the last one that I'm wearing today is my L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise mascara. I had finally repurchased this as well. And I love how it's been making my lashes look lately. Again, it's been really helping by using the lash primer. So I love that too. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my Wet n Wild Mega Length mascara. I use this all the time, and I had needed to repurchase another one because my other one was getting completely dried out, and I love it. This is one of my go-to mascaras for everyday use because you can use it on the bottom and top lashes and be good to go. And then speaking of lower lash mascaras, I also fell in love with a drugstore one, and this is going to be the only bottom lash mascara I purchased. I don't need to go and purchase the MAC one anymore because, I mean, I love the MAC one, but this one is definitely cheaper, and it's a great alternative to that one. And this one is the Maybelline New York Lash Discovery Mini Brush Mascara. Since it has a mini brush like this, it really does grab on to each individual lash on the bottom lashes, and I have been loving this. It is great. It really has replaced the MAC Extended Play for me. I still love the MAC one a lot, but this is a great alternative. So I can't believe it took me this long to purchase this guy because it's really, really good. So that is it for mascaras. Now let's talk about some foundations. So I only have 2 foundations to talk about because these are my 2 most recent foundations that were added to my collection. So the first one that I wanted to mention is the most new foundation to my collection, and this is the Bite Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation, and this one's in the shade L10. I really do like this foundation. I know I haven't used it on camera yet, but I will definitely use it in the Get Ready With Me for you guys. I just posted a live stream, but that like really didn't have anybody watching it, so I'm trying to take it down because I really don't want it up anymore, but it's okay. This is really, really nice. It really blends beautifully. It doesn't last all day, definitely not, but for the few hours that it does last, because like it's definitely not a long-lasting foundation, because I tested this out all day last Friday when I went to Connecticut, because I literally had received it in the mail that day, so I really wanted to wear it that day. And I had actually gotten a sample of it from Sephora, and I had tested it out before, and I really liked it on my skin. It looks really beautiful on the skin, and it's a really nice lightweight foundation. It kind of feels like a very thick tinted moisturizer, but it feels like a tinted moisturizer, but it has like the coverage of a foundation, and it obviously has much more coverage than a tinted moisturizer would. So I absolutely really, really like this. It has a really nice scent. It was so exciting that Bite went into complexion products, and I really, really wanted to try at least the foundation because I love Bite Beauty. I love their lip products, and this is really, really nice. I just really hope they expand the shade range soon because that shade range is a little bit lacking. Speaking of a fire shade range, let's talk about Fenty Beauty because her shade range is amazing. So this is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Hydrating Longwear Foundation. My other favorite foundations are like ones I've talked about a million times. So I figured I would just talk about the ones that I've still been using a ton and my most recent ones. And I do actually really like both of these. This one has, these probably have almost the same amount of coverage. This one might have a little bit more. This one also feels a little bit more hydrating. I really like the scents of both of these. I love the scent of this one. Sorry, I just feel like I'm hearing something, but I think I'm just getting paranoid. But this is a hydrating foundation. It's beautiful on the skin. Again, this foundation does not last all day. Just like the Bite one, I noticed that these both break up after like probably 5 or 6 hours, but they are really beautiful on the skin. I really love how this one blends out. It looks beautiful on the skin when you first put it on, and I really like how it looks when my makeup is done. So that is it for foundations, and now let's just talk about a couple of concealers. So definitely, again, my most used concealer these past like 2 months has been the Urban Decay Stay Naked Correcting Concealer. I love this concealer in the shade 10NN. It just covers so beautifully. It's so easy to blend out. I definitely loved this a ton more than the Dose of Colors one. The Dose of Colors one I just ended up returning, and this one I love so much more than that one. Urban Decay really knows how to make a concealer that is beautiful coverage, but is not heavy. And that's why I love the original Naked Concealer and this one so much. Like, that's why the Naked Concealer was my holy grail concealer for, like, such a long time. Because they have such beautiful coverage. So I love this. And then speaking of the Naked Skin, I just wanted to give it a little bit of a shout out because I have been using this quite a bit again. Because I want to use it up. Because I've used up this concealer like a gajillion times before, but this one's kind of getting old, so I really need to just use it up and get it out of my collection. But as I've been using it again, I still think I prefer this one over this one. It might just be just because this one's a little bit old. It seems to be a little bit drier than this one. This one is super creamy, blends out beautifully. I love this. I even have been adding this to like other concealers just to like make the coverage a little bit nicer. And the Dose of Colors one would just like sit underneath my eyes and like wouldn't blend out properly, and this one blends out so beautifully. So but I wanted to give a quick shout out to this one because I still love it, and I'm just trying to use it up, but it's a great concealer still. And then speaking of a concealer that is finally back in my life that I still love, and I'm so happy it's back in my collection, is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in the shade NC15. This concealer, again, like a lot of people would compare this concealer to the Urban Decay Naked Skin, but I feel like this one and the Stay Naked are really, really similar. But this is a great concealer. I remember why I loved it so much back when I used to have it. This is only my second one. I hadn't repurchased it because I was constantly repurchasing the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer back in the day. Because it was just easier to use because this one has a pump and the other one has a doe foot applicator. So I love it. It blends out beautifully. It is such a beautiful concealer and it's not heavy at all. And it blends out so easily. I was definitely keeping this one over the Dose of Colors one. This one is so much better. So I just really wanted to try the Dose of Colors one because Kathleen Lights was raving about it. And I find that I liked the Jouer and the e.l.f. concealer more than the Dose of Colors one because I recently had tried out both of those. And they both lasted so much better and blended out so much better. I don't know what the deal was with the Dose of Colors one. And then the last one I wanted to mention is my Maybelline Master Conceal by Face Studio Camouflaging Concealer in the shade 10 Fair. I'm also trying to use up this one as well. This one is very similar to the MAC formula. The only thing about this one is that the shade is a little bit too, like, tan for me. But I'm just trying to use it up. And I've been grabbing for it and reaching for it again, along with the Naked Skin one. And they have been my two go-to concealers lately just because I've been using them up. So I've just been keeping them out and trying to use them up. And they're both still solid, great concealers. So I love those two. And then one powder I want to mention, I did purchase this a couple of weeks back, and I really have been liking it since I've gotten it. A lot of people do rave about this one, and this one is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade 05 Fair. I just used it today, and honestly, it's really, really lightweight on the skin. It's actually even more lightweight than the ColourPop one. I love the ColourPop one, but I wanted to use this one today because I hadn't used it in a few days because I'm still trying to use up my Thrive powder, so that's literally like the powder I use all the time. But this is a great powder. It's really lightweight, really beautiful. It makes my under eyes look gorgeous. I really have been liking it a lot. It's a great powder. So, and then as for primers, I have been using quite a few primers that are back in my life. I've been using the NYX Angel Veil primer a lot, and I actually really do like this now. I was always on the fence about this one, but this is a really nice primer. It's really nice and nourishing, and I really, really like it, and it really feels great on the skin when I put it on. I also love my e.l.f. Mineral Infused Face Primer. I've been using this again because I just repurchased it like last week, and I've been using it every day since I've gotten it. This is like my second or third one of these. This is definitely my second or third because I've used up one of these before, and I think before I had purchased this one, I had the Poreless Face Primer, which I used up as well. So this is my second one of the mineral one, and I really love this one. The Poreless one is great too, but this one is awesome. And then I've been using my Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer again. I forgot I had a little sample of this that I haven't used yet, and of course, as soon as I start using this again, I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite primers ever, but I just don't want to pay for it anymore, so this primer will last me a couple of months, and I won't have the desire to repurchase it again, but it's a great primer. And then the last one that I've been using again is my Maybelline Baby Skin because I just used up my first one of this, so I finally cracked open the backup that I bought months ago because I thought I was going to use that one up faster, but I didn't want to use it up right away, and I started using it again a ton the past like month or so, and now I've been using this one, obviously, because I just opened it up, and this is a great primer. I just don't wear it for like long wear because my foundation can tend to get greasy a little bit. This is really not a good primer if you have like oily skin because it's very greasy, but it looks beautiful with like very dewy foundations or like with lighter coverage foundations, but I don't use this to like wear my foundation all day because it will not keep my foundation on. It'll like slide off, and I have like the driest skin ever, so... And then the last like primer kind of product is the MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus Setting Spray. I've been using this every day since I've gotten it, and I love it. I love the scent of this, and it's so hydrating on the skin, and I use it every time I prep my skin for makeup. I put this on before I put my primer on, and I love it. So that is it for that. Now we just have a couple of highlighters to talk about, and that's really it. So obviously I've been using this highlighting palette a ton since I've gotten it, and again, I would be lying if I didn't mention this, and I really wanted to talk about the Jaclyn Hill, the Flash palette. This is beautiful, you guys. I purchased this back in December, like 2 weeks before Christmas, because the main reason why I wanted to go to the mall that me and my brother got our Christmas presents at was to get these palettes in store because I really wanted to swatch them at Morphe. I really haven't been swatching anything in this video because I don't really need to because I've swatched a bunch of these products before, but I really wanted to swatch these highlighters because they're so stunning. I almost wore them today, but I decided to wear a much older palette today. I decided to wear my ColourPop Innuendo palette, but look at these. They're just so blinding and beautiful. I was obsessed with this when I first got it. It was like literally the only palette I was wearing besides like the other two highlighters that I'm going to talk about. But this is definitely my favorite out of all the highlighters I'm going to talk about. They're just so beautiful on the skin and they're so intense. And I love them. And if you want to see me use them, I do use them in a... And I do use these in my Get Ready With Me using new makeup. That was my last Get Ready With Me that I had filmed in December. That's why, like, the most recent Get Ready With Me that I posted was my first this year because I had filmed the Getting Ready With Me using new makeup in December, but I didn't post it until after my Best in Beauty was over. So, and then the other two Well, I also want to mention the Jaclyn Hill Loose highlighter in the shade Extra because this is stunning. This is blinding and it's so beautiful. I use this a ton on top of other highlights, and it's so pretty. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. It's just so frosty and stunning. So I also really wanted to get one of the loose highlighters. I just didn't want to order them and then be disappointed, so that's why I purchased both of them in store. And they're both really beautiful. And then I have two blush palettes to talk about. I love this guy. This is the Jouer Rose Cut Gems Blush and Cheek Topper palette. These have been my most used blushes since I purchased it. Well, some people commented on my live stream, so I'm still gonna delete it. So anyway, I have been loving these blushes. These are beautiful on the skin. I've been loving Crystalline and Peach Quartz. These two shades are beautiful. I love this like nude blush. They are so pigmented and they're super smooth and buttery. I don't know why this got mixed reviews. I guess the reason why people didn't rate it that high was because of the highlighter, but I'm like, I'm not going to judge the whole palette just because the highlighter isn't that great. It's supposed to be a highlighter topper anyway, so I didn't really judge it based on that. The blushes are absolutely stunning. The formula is amazing, and they're so buttery, and they build up to be so beautiful on the skin. And then the last blushes I want to talk about are the MAC Star Dipped Face Compact. I definitely like the blushes in here more than the highlighters. I feel like the highlighters are a little bit glittery, but the blushes are really beautiful. I love this orange one. It's so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at that. That's that shimmery one on top. It's so stunning. And the pink is really pretty too. I finally got a chance to wear it a couple of, I think like last week or something. And it's just so pretty. I just really do not wear pink blush really at all anymore. I only wear it when I wear pink now. Like I really wear peach blush or nude blush 99% of the time. So I really don't use pink too much, but these are beautiful. The highlighters I'm not too crazy about in here, but the blushes are really stunning. So that is it for that. And for bronzers, I just want to mention these two because these have been the two I've been using the most. Before I do, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple more ColourPop highlights. I've been using my Midnight Masquerade highlighters in Coronation. I've been using this a ton this past month. I love it still. It's stunning. It's a beautiful peach highlighter. And then, of course, the Cinderella one in Horse and Carriage. This one made its rounds on YouTube as being like the star of that collection. It is stunning. I love this highlight. It's so beautiful. So I've just been having a slight obsession with these as well, too. I've definitely been using these more than the Jaclyn Hill ones lately. I didn't really use the Jaclyn Hill ones as much this month as I did in December, but I did use them a couple of times. But I still wanted to mention them as being a favorite. And then for bronzers, I've just been using my ColourPop Private Party bronzer a ton because I'm really trying to hit pan on this. But also, this bronzer is so amazing. Since I started using it again, I'm like, damn, it is so good. It's so good for full coverage looks. It's so good for lighter looks. It really is a great bronzer. And then for lighter looks, I've just been using my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I've just been focusing on these two bronzers a lot because I really want to use this one more as well. I've kind of expanded the pan a little bit more, but I definitely want to make like a much bigger dent in this product. But at least I have pan on this one. It's just that this is like the never-ending bronzer. There's so much product in here. So those are the only two bronzers. And then as for lip products, I'm just going to mention these because honestly, I really haven't used too many lipsticks like that consistently. I use like the same 10 lipsticks all the time. So I just wanted to mention these because I use these still a ton at the end of December and a lot this month as well. And I wanted to talk about the Pat McGrath lipsticks These are so stunning, you guys. The red, I honestly haven't really used all that much. I don't know why it's already getting a weird, like, stain on it. But it is a beautiful lipstick. I love this. But the two I've used the most are the two nudes, obviously. So this one is $19.95 and this one is Omi. What the heck did I do to this? So, oh no, no, no. Chip told me that these fall out. Okay, well, we're just gonna keep that in there. That just fell out. Okay. This one is still okay. But these lipsticks are so good, but why is it that they're so cheaply made? So this one is Omi, and this one's beautiful. It's a really beautiful nude pink. But the other one I'm just going to keep in the packaging because that should not happen. I mean, it went back in pretty easily, but the hell, man. But at least that stayed in the tube. I'll swatch it a little bit. But that one has been my favorite, the nuder shade right here. It's so pretty. So that is it for lipsticks and everything, and that's pretty much it for my favorites. I also have been loving the Kathleen Lights Ultra Matte Lip in Little Star. This is one of my favorites for when I want to go out. I've been using this one a ton lately. It's such a beautiful lipstick. Also, I still have been loving the Frozen Anna lipsticks. The Frozen 2 lipsticks. This one's the Anna one in Going North. It's a beautiful brown. I love it for every day. And then the Elsa one is called Little Snow. Can I speak? This one is also a beautiful color. It's a really beautiful plum color. I did use this both times I went and saw the movie. I love it. And then I've also been using the Marc Jacobs Aeneas lipstick quite a bit lately. And it's such a beautiful lipstick, such a beautiful formula. I love it. And that's it. And then the Lime Crime Velveteen lip liner in Angel has been my go-to this month. It's always has been my go-to lately. I use it a ton. I just want to put my stuff in my purse that I'm using because I need to go. And then the last two products, and I've also been using my Tom Ford lipstick in Nude Blush again. It's a beautiful, this is a really beautiful lipstick, you guys. I just want to swatch it because this one is really stunning. It's so pretty. Like, I finally fell in love with this lipstick, like, hardcore. And it's really, really beautiful. I almost wore it today because I love it, but I wanted to wear a matte lipstick today. I'm wearing Anastasia's liquid lipstick in Peachy, which Chip gave to me. I actually am wearing a bunch of stuff that she gifted me. The cherry palette and the peach lipstick from the peachy lipstick from the Anastasia liquid lipstick set. And then 3 more things and we're done, but I really want to mention these 3 products. So I have a couple of skincare products. I have been loving this. This is the Inkey List Retinol. So I did tell you guys that I did run out of my retinol a couple days back from The Ordinary, so I had to get a new one. And the Inkey List is the sister brand to The Ordinary, and the Inkey List they actually sell in store at Sephora, so you don't have to pay shipping or anything, so it's actually really nice that they sell it there. And I love this. This is definitely going to be my retinol that I purchased all the time now. I like this one a lot more than the one from The Ordinary. I feel like this one's a little bit stronger, but it does not irritate my skin at all. It doesn't sting, nothing. It's just a great product. And I really have been noticing a huge difference in my skin lately. My skin looks so clear, not really too many breakouts at all. I have been loving this, so this is great. And then the La Roche-Posay Hydrating Gentle Cleanser. This has been my new cleanser that I purchased because I really wanted to get something different from the Burt's Bees one because I always find that I run out of that so quickly. So I wanted to get this one, and this one is a great product as well. This one I actually feel like has been making my skin way clearer. The only thing I don't like about this is that it kind of irritates my eyes a little bit when I wash my eyes. I should have left the house already. I have like one more product to talk about, but this is really good. That's the only thing I don't like, but I think it really has been making a huge difference in my skin. And I feel like I won't run out of it as fast as the Burt's Bees one. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is a fragrance, but I've been loving this one, and this is my newest fragrance in my life, and this is the Daisy Love by Marc Jacobs. It smells so good, you guys. Oh, it smells like love, like daisy flowers, like daisy love. I really can't explain it. It smells so freaking good. The only thing is that I feel like it kind of fades on my body very quickly if I wear it for like a few days, because sometimes I feel like fragrances get really used to my body chemistry. I'm actually wearing my Burberry today because I find that that one lasts the longest on my skin still. I love this, and this did last a really long time when I first got it and when I wore it the first couple of days. But lately, I haven't really been loving it, so I'm just going to give it a couple of days, and then I'm going to wear this again, and it'll probably smell it better. But I asked my boyfriend yesterday if he could smell it on me when I got to his house, and he was like, I can only smell it in this one little section, but I can't really smell it too much. And I was like, okay, so it's not just me. So yeah, that's it. I love you guys. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on all my social media. Let me know what your favorites were. Sorry that I kind of rushed it at the end, but I really have to go. So yeah, bye.